Okay, it is 8:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Land, Water, Forest Resources Committee to order. First order of business is certification of compliance with the open meetings law. Did we do that?
Yep.
Okay. Next order is pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to public comments, I would like to move agenda item 12 what? No, 11C up to the right after public comments. Is everybody okay with that?
That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then public comments is a member of the public who has a comment on an item that's not on the agenda. Okay, hearing none. Minutes from the May meeting. Everybody had a chance to read them. I entertain a motion to approve the May minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. In spite of Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Sarah McDonald. I'm the County Executive Director at the Farm Service Agency. I manage the Russell Sawyer office as well as the Barron County office. So I'm here today to give an update for you. But in most cases, most monthly meetings, Tom here, and I'm sorry, I probably would butcher your last name. Thank you. Tom, he is one of our county committee members. He's going to be here giving you a report from the FSA office. So I will give the report today. I guess, are we ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. We have a lot going on in the offices right now. One thing I did want to just remind everyone of is currently our offices are open by phone appointment only. We're kind of working through some various phases to get the offices back up and running and open to the public. But if anyone does need to do any work with that Farm Service Agency, they should call the office and schedule a phone appointment. We do have most employees back in the office at this point, so work is going on as usual.
Do you have a phone number for the FSA office?
I certainly do. The Rusk Sawyer phone number is 715-532-3786. So again, if you have any business to do with the FSA office, please give them a call and they will schedule an appointment with you. They're also willing to do things via email as much as possible, and some instances have set up a table outside the door where producers can drop things off if that's easier. So again, we have a lot going on. I don't know how familiar you are with our programs, but right now the CFAP program is probably the biggest one. That's our coronavirus food assistance program. Essentially, that's providing funds to producers that maybe weren't able to sell their livestock or had to sell them for a reduced rate. There's payments for livestock, crops, dairy. So those are the big ones there. The sign up just started on May 26th and runs through August 28th. Again, if that is a program that you are interested in signing up for, you should call the office to get an appointment, or you can go online to www.farmers.gov/CFAP. That there will have the application form for you to fill out. And it also breaks down the different categories and gives some good information as to what's eligible for the program and what's not. So that is the biggest one right now. Payments are going out fairly quickly with that program. The other thing to keep in mind is to make sure you have all of your eligibility paperwork on file in the office. If you do not, that will hold up the payments. But we're getting those payments out as soon as possible. Also right now, in any typical year, our crop reporting is very busy at this time. that has been very challenging this year with us not being in the office until just recently. And obviously with producers not being able to come into the office, it's a bit of a challenge to get those completed. The office is sending out maps to all the producers for them to fill out what they planted and when they planted and to send back to the office or drop off. It's very important that all of the pertinent information is on those maps, or it takes us more time. We're following up with producers to get the rest of the information that we need. But again, producers can call the office if they have questions about that. Just they need to be patient. We might not get those maps out to them as quickly as they hope, but we're doing the best we can with everything else going on right now. We also have our WIP Plus program. Seems like kind of a strange name, but it's the Wildfire and Hurricane Indemnity Program. What the plus means with that program is they added a couple extra causes of loss to it. So excessive moisture losses are eligible for a payment in this area. So any crop losses that you experienced in 2018 or 2019 due to excessive moisture, possibly snowstorm, or tornado related conditions would be potentially eligible for a payment. So again, producers can call the office. We'll send them an inquiry document for them to fill out, basically telling us what the cause of loss was and what crops they had a loss on. Again, it's taking some time to work through those applications, but we will get to them just as quickly as we can. So that's that program. Just a reminder that our ARC PLC program, we have sign up annually for that program. That sign up for 2020 ends June 30th. I know lots of contracts have been sent out and we're just waiting for them to come back in, but June 30th is a hard deadline there. I don't think there will be any gives. So just a reminder for two producers to get those back into us. The DMC or our dairy program, we did have a payment for April's milk. It was actually a very good payment. The margin was 603. Most of our producers enrolled in that program at the 950 level, so that generated a payment to them of $3.47 per hundredweight. So again, those were some really good payments that went out to producers. They've all been issued, so hopefully everyone's seen those in their bank accounts. I anticipate, based on what I've seen in the charts, that there will be payments for several months to come yet. I'm not sure if they'll be in that same dollar range, but some good ones I think yet to come. Lastly, I guess I have a little plug here on our county committee elections. The nomination period for our annual elections begins June 15th and it runs through August 1st. Tom here is actually, his LAA is up for election this year. So if you know anyone that may be interested in being on our county committee, they can contact the office and we will get them a nomination form. At that same time, we'll just make sure that they're eligible based on where they live and what their farming practices are. They're eligible to be on the committee, but we're definitely looking for more people to be interested in that. It's a good committee to be on. So that's the last plug I have for you for the day. Any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Is that the committee then that sends a representative to this board?
Absolutely, yep. Great. So Tom is representing our FSA county committee. Yep.
Okay, any more questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you said the WIC plus, is that?
It's called WIC plus,
Okay.
WHI.
And you said this excessive moisture, does that cover flooding, like flash flooding and stuff like that?
It would not cover flooding, so it would be like, last year, both Sawyer and Rusk County had excessive amounts of rain compared to a typical year.
Because we've had flash flooding this year, so I don't know. So there's no coverage for.
I do not believe so. I guess if you question it, I would contact the office. I can look into the policy again. No one has inquired about actual flooding so far, just excessive moisture, but if my memory serves me correctly, it's not going to be eligible. So.
Yes.
The COVID money that's available for livestock and crops, is there any chance that that money could run out? I mean, similar to the PPP money that did run out?
Yep.
Because you have a long application period, so I'm wondering, is it first come, first serve?
It's not first come, first serve. I know a lot of producers are concerned about it running out. Essentially what they've done is this first round of payments, you're gonna get paid on 50% of the total. And they're doing that so that if there's extra money left at the end, they'll do a second round of payments, but that way everyone should be able to get a payment. So they are telling us that producers should not be concerned about the money running out. Just get the application in when they can, and we will process them as quickly as we can, so.
And you probably have to produce like sale receipts and previous year's sale receipts.
The program itself is a self-certification. So you essentially just have to give us your numbers. But if you are spot checked, and there's always that possibility, then you would have to have concrete proof of where those numbers came from. But it is a self-certification, so we're not requiring it up front.
So producers that were affected by these butcher shops that all shut down and we couldn't ship our product, right? That's where we're going with this.
Yeah, so
And
essentially.
calf prices that were way down this spring and early summer.
Yep, if you go to that website, they have different categories of livestock that are eligible. But they're looking at how many you sold this between a certain time period and then what your highest inventory was between another time period. So they're looking at both of those numbers. And essentially with the livestock part of it, you're eligible for possibly both a payment from the CARES Act and a CCC payment, which would be from the Commodity Credit Corporation. But you may be eligible for one or the other or both, depending on what information you provide there. If you didn't sell any animals, you're not going to be eligible for the CARES portion of it, only the CCC portion.
If you held back animals, which was very popular around the area because the prices dropped, we held back our cattle. I know a bunch of other people did.
Right.
That does get you back in that program. So like you see, you have to put the dates of what you basically would sell, when, and why you held back. It's pretty self-explanatory in the forms.
And it's kind of similar with the crops in that, we want to know what your total production was for 2019 and then how much you hadn't sold as of a certain date. Again, because you were affected by lower prices and that kind of thing. So it's a very simple, I guess I would say simple application process. I do know if producers have questions besides contacting the office to get those questions answered. We do have an extension agent or an extension employee over in Barron, Mark Hagedorn. I don't know if you're familiar with the name. He has generously offered to help producers if they do have questions. So that's someone else that producers could reach out to if they're working through the application and aren't sure of the information to provide.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
And if you have something else to do, you'd be free to leave.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7, events.
Yep, so we have the lumberjack run on August 1st.
All right. What? I don't see anything in the packet. You want to give us a
No,
brief?
well, it's just like a fun run. I know the Lumberjack Fest was canceled this year, but the Berkey is still putting on this run, so.
Okay, and it's still going. I'm going to go on best, Okay.
Yep.
And we
That's the
normally
plan.
give certificates of insurance. Do we
Yep.
have that?
Yep.
So you're recommending we approve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the lumberjack run.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve that as long as we have all the insurance and the proper documents we need to proceed with this.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll say.
All right. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Okay.
Okay. We are a committee of, we need 4 members to be legal. Mr. Chairman, I think you're now a pro tem
Okay.
member of the committee.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
why did he leave? He's a voting member of this committee. He's supposed to stay here.
I thought so too. I don't know why you left.
But I got one other problem with that. He was on this committee before and he had all these motions.
Right,
So we're going the wrong way.
I agree.
And I think we need to look at that because I think I appoint that person. Ron, I'll ask Tom about
Okay.
that, because I've been contacting that office.
Right.
Knowing that we needed a new representative, so.
And I talked to Sarah, and it was supposed to be Sarah and Amanda Richardson that were coming. And so I'm in the dark as well, so we'll look at it, try to sort this through. I'll talk to Sarah.
Memory
Okay.
serves me correctly too, Mr. Schoen. I don't believe you ever appointed one yet, because
No,
I think they were waiting for their own elections to be done first before we could appoint someone from their committee. If I remember correctly, I think that was postponed at last county board's meeting.
Yep.
So technically, I don't think he's actually on this committee yet. I think it would actually default back to
Great.
myself.
and Mr. Chairman, it's actually on our county board agenda for June 18th.
Okay, all right. We'll quite try not to check
So
that.
I'll note that and I'll speak with you two about this
Very good.
representative.
Okay,
So we need to finish
right.
approving that motion though.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second? No second. Yes, a second.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, motion carried. Do we have anything from the treasurer?
No.
All right. Land record surveyors report, some Windfall Cemetery. You're up.
I really don't have anything to report. We're trying to get all our staff back, working better, getting the building. I got everybody back. Helps. And other than that, survey crews working in town of Cootery and town of Draper most of the time. Address signs, they're getting a little busy this time of year. Nothing else to report.
Okay. And we've got an agenda item to approve the Windfall Cemetery, the town of Weirgard. Do you have anybody have any comments about the resolution?
Well, Jesse Susan approached me. He was hired, contracted with from Windfall in the village of Weirgor, town of Weirgor.
Kind of weird.
And did Weirgor pack, it was supposed to be last night.
Well, yeah, because I was reading this and that was one of my questions. It said that it was already approved before the board met. It can't be approved before the board met. So
Well,
I don't know if they approved it or not, which I probably think they will, because the town chairman of the town of Weirgor sits on the Windfall Cemetery Committee.
right, they were supposed to have met last night, so it would have come today, having been approved last night. I mean,
Right. Okay.
So we're not sure it's been approved by the town.
I haven't heard.
Okay.
Bottom line, all the town ordered the plat, so I'm sure they're gonna approve it. They just have to sign it, and county board has to sign it. I think that's why it's at the committee here, because they wanted to know that committee approved before it gets. going.
I believe also too that they will approve it.
Okay. I mean, we could pass this conditionally that we would approve it pending town approval or documentation that the town approved. Then that would make it, we could still get it to the county board. Okay. You'll hear a motion to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to approve the Windfall Cemetery resolution. That as long as the town board has approved it.
Okay. Is there a second? All right, motion's been made in second to approve the Windfall Cemetery application pending documentation that the town has approved that same resolution. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Okay, next item of business then would be the Forest Department.
Okay, first up is the update on the land lease and MOU with Berkey at Double O. I really don't have any new information on this at this time. I think last we left off, there was discussion between our attorney and Berkey's attorney on some of the language with the MOU and ground lease. I don't know if Tom has any other additional information right now, but that's about all I have.
Okay, so maybe the best thing for me to do is ask Mr. Hoff, where we stand, and then we can put it back on the agenda then for next month. Yes,
Is there any revenue associated with this
no,
land lease and MOU? So that's not contingent on anything.
no, there's no revenue involved. It's just to allow the Berkey and their 00 facility to conduct some commercial activities. I mean, we rezoned that little section of Berkey 00 to commercial. And now it's our land, but it's rezoned commercial. Now we have to have an agreement with the Berkey on what activities they can conduct at the facility in 00. And I think that's, and Greg, do I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
We just have to figure out how we're gonna work it through.
I think Tom,
Yes,
Get someone on that.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Tom Hoff here. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update. We do have Rebecca on the line as well, and Christy Mackey from the Berkey. There was a new ask that came in this week as well on possibility of a shed or storage building on that facility too. So I think Rebecca reached out to their attorney and was continuing discussions on that as well. And I think Rebecca, did you ever get a hold of their attorney and have an updated status on that? You're on mute. There you go.
Dnr Rasmussen, who is
You can't.
legal counsel for the Berkey, and I have had some ongoing conversations about.
Can you speak up?
can't hear you, Rebecca.
I think, does your administrator have me on mute? I'm not muted.
Make you louder.
Hold on.
She should be able to talk.
She was, you just couldn't hear her.
Oh,
Rebecca, can you repeat yourself a little louder?
Is that better? Can you hear me
A little?
Okay. I will definitely speak up. I'm not muted on my end, so I'm not sure what the issue is. But
We can hear you. It's just really quiet.
okay. So I have had conversations with Dnr Rasmussen, who is legal counsel for the Berkey, on an ongoing basis regarding the ground lease and the MOU. And so we've exchanged comments to those documents, and we are real close to getting this finalized. There is some outstanding issues, and they really pertain to some specific legal points and some legal terminology that we're working through. In terms of the use issues and the types of uses that the Berkey has agreed to restrict on the property, is the last I was aware, there's no concerns or there's no conflict in terms of the Berkey not willing to restrict the uses as we've had previously talked about. So I just want to give the committee the reassurance that there's no, at least I'm not aware of any concerns on that point. And Tom did mention that the new ask for that new storage shed, and I'm going to talk to Dana about that. We'll just work through the process. I'm not aware of any issues with that request right now, particularly if it's within the ground lease area. We'll just keep moving forward with that request.
No.
Well, basically, she said she's not aware of any issues that they're having so far and that they're pretty close to
Okay.
finalizing everything. She
So-
said she wanted to reassure you guys that they're on the right track and that they're very close to.
So they're working on it, and we'll get it next month. Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, zoning, the Berkey buildings and the land lease at 00, wasn't there some revenue though attached to that by zoning it commercial? We were gonna be able to get something from the events they planned or had up there, or any sales they did?
Yeah, I think, now that you mention it, I think it's 5% of gross revenue or 2.5% of gross revenue. Greg, is that-
I think 5% is what was in the resolution of their gross revenue on whatever food or merchandise
stay
Right.
solar there.
Thank you. Okay. let's
Mr.
move on to-
Chairman?
Yes,
It's Rebecca again. I just, the settings on my audio were basically double muted, so they're fixed now. If you'd like to give, if the committee would like a quick recap of everything I said that you weren't able to hear, I'm
yeah,
happy to
very
do that.
quickly. Yes,
Oh, goodness gracious. Don't you love technology? Very quickly, Dana Rasmussen, Berkey's counsel, and I are working through the just some remaining legal issues with the ground lease and MOU. And essentially the legal issues are exactly that. They refer to some terminology and some, just making sure we have things ownership classified correctly. I'm not aware of any use issues, the things that we had talked about before and the restrictions that we had talked about with respect to that commercial zoning and putting those restrictions in the MOU, that has not changed. So I don't foresee any issues on that front. And that's a summary as best I can do. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
any questions for our corporate counsel? Okay, very good. Thanks, Rebecca.
No problem.
Okay, then, can we move on to B? Greg, you got an update?
Yeah, we're continuing to work on the 15-year plan. Due to the restrictions with the COVID issues, we've kind of retooled how we're going to do it a little bit. We had a conference call with the County Forest Association 2 weeks ago, and a lot of the counties are foregoing the big public hearings on these. We don't know what our restrictions are going to be, so I kind of have we're going to try it out with this first chapter this month here. But what I would like to do is give chapters to the committee to review as a draft and then put them out on the website for a minimum of 30 days for public comments, a couple chapters at a time, just so we can open up the public input on this without getting into the big public hearings. So it's going to be a little bit of a switch, but I think it's probably going to work out. We still have parts of our citizen advisory committee that we will work through when we get to some of the more debatable portions of the plan. But moving on to the next item, I have chapter 100 out for the committee to review right now. There's nothing to have an action item on at this time, but what I would like to do is have the committee be able to review this until the next committee meeting. I have several other chapters that are ready to go. Just have some fine tuning to do that I would send out to the committee within the next couple weeks. So we would have a minimum of 3 or 4 chapters that we could potentially put out on the website for a 30-day comment period from the public. So this is just kind of a look. This is the completed chapter 100, which is just it's a lot of our basic nuts and bolts of our administration and how we do things at the county. So what we'll do is I'll give you a chance to review this. You can submit comments, throughout the month or the next committee meeting, and whenever the committee is comfortable putting this out to the public to review and comment on, we'll do it at that time.
Well, how about if we direct our comments to you and we have, 29 days or something to get you your comments, and then at the next meeting, we will bless this with all the changes that we've suggested and you put on the website?
Yep.
Does that work for everybody? Yes.
It does, but I didn't hear you say the word change. You said review and comment. Does that mean that there can be changes made or just?
Sir, yes, I welcome changes. This is just my first kick at it with the info I have, and the committee can request changes at any time.
Yeah, the chairman said changes, but I thought, I didn't know if he was like, here it is, make what comment you want, but this is what's getting, codified.
No, it's on committee's shoulders to how you want this to look. I mean, there's certain statutory language we have to have in here, but this is for the committee to fix
Okay, any more questions on chapter 100? If not, Greg, you're up on your monthly report.
Okay, month of May, 4 sales listed as active. Aspen market's pretty good. We've had some pretty serious bad news come out yesterday. Some of you may have read that, but the Verso Mill in Duluth and Wisconsin Rapids is supposed to be shutting down for they don't know if it's permanent or undisclosed period of time, but we do sell a significant portion of our mixed hardwood pulp to the Verso Mill in Rapids, so this will have a big impact on some of our market here. So it's unfortunate, but it was kind of a big blow to the market right now. So I'm not sure what's going to happen going forward, but it's certainly not great news for both those mills, but it's going to have a big ripple throughout the market here. So, but our aspen and pine sales are still going well, so that's kind of going to be our crutch here going forward, I would say. So, currently, sale value on file is just under $4 million. Revenue for the month, we had just over 100,000. Year to date, we're at $785,700. So sale inspections are on target for the level of activity. Tract establishment, we haven't had any paperwork done on it. It's been good spring conditions, so we've been focusing primarily on field work at this time. Recon, the same issue there. Good neighbor authority on the federal forest is ongoing as scheduled. Oak wilt, we actually did just pick up a couple new sites in the town of Coudray yesterday, so our monitoring is going to jump up on that. It's a little bit early, but we're finding it already. Ash borer, we've got traps out to monitor that. Then for the rec portion, for mountain bike trails, Berkey Trail, and ATV trails, we do have impacts from the Mosquito Brook dam failure. We have bridge on the Berkey Trail over Mosquito Brook had the approaches washed out on both sides right now. It's currently closed. Working with Canada right now to put some kind of decking in to have passage on their trail across that, and working with Berkey to come up with a repair on the bridge. The bridge seems to be intact. It's just the approaches that we have to fix. Our ATV snowmobile trail bridge over Mosquito Brook on 31 was also damaged. The bridge is still passable and appears to be in good condition, but the footing on the northeast corner was underwashed, and the bridge settled about 3-4 inches. So we're still trying to figure out how to get under there and reinforce that before we have any further damage. So looking at funding options with maintenance, and I don't think there's a clear idea who owns that dam at this point. I think it's debatable. There's a lot of different information out there, so I don't know what the state's take is on that, or what.
It's for sure not our dam. There was a responsible party identified, if you want to call it that. And from what I've heard from the dam people, I can't think of the guy's name over in Spooner. Okay, there was, they basically have a letter sent to them, and the individual who's absentee landowner is responsible for either replacing the dam or rehabbing the stream bed back to its natural condition from headwater down to where the dam was. So that's on them. That's quite a costly endeavor, so I don't know what's going to happen with how that's going to play out.
And that dam was ordered for removal in '96,
Yeah,
and just never got removed.
it was in bad shape for a long time, but again, they didn't have the money to tear it out.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Greg, all these repairs you're talking about, is it kind of contingent on that dam be put back in place, or can we make these repairs and feel confident that they're going to be stayed?
Yeah, we
Get
can.
the dam out of there.
Yeah, because if the dam's in, the dam's out, it doesn't impact the stream bed where these bridges are. So we can get in and repair it, and if they leave the dam out, it's not going to impact it. So if they put it back in, great. We can go ahead and fix the bridges and it should be fine.
And are there any emergency dollars or anything that was implicated for this flood or?
I don't think at this time, I mean, the numbers of the damage numbers, I don't think are high enough, but I don't know for sure. We're still looking at that. I mean, for the ATV snowmobile trail, we could possibly use maintenance funds, but hopefully we could find something else. So I don't know if a responsible party for the dam is somehow liable. We're still trying to kind of run a few of those things down right now. So.
And does Canva make their own repairs to like their single track?
Yeah.
You're talking about a
Yeah.
bridge or something have to build.
Yeah, just be some planking and, the Berkey Bridge, we can probably figure something out with Berkey on that. So, I mean, it's our infrastructure really, but they run the maintenance on it, so. But we're trying to figure it out, see what we can do for funding.
Yeah, can we put this on the agenda for next month then, the funding part?
Sure.
You can give an update on that? Perfect, okay. So does that take care of your report?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, any questions on the county forester's report?
Yeah,
Yes.
one more, Greg. With those mills that are closing, do we have someone out there now looking for an alternative plant for us to accept their wood? And who does that? We probably need someone to be out there looking. Where else can we bring our ass?
Well, Dnr has forest industry specialists. We have one right here in Hayward that I'm sure he's doing a lot of that work right now. That they focus primarily on markets and what's his.
Colin Bumtrack, and I actually I'm reading the email right now. We got this morning. That's like a summary of what the deal is, and Verso's official response at this time is basically that it's idled indefinitely, and they do have plans to potentially reopen the mills, depending on market change. But that's all that there is right now, and I can send that to Greg if he wants to forward it to you guys. They're looking into it right now. Obviously, it's just. Yeah,
I mean, it's primarily hardwood pulp that has been going to Verso, and you look back at our bid results and hardwood pulp's been dropping, just going into this. So the market was already kind of sliding on that, and we weren't seeing a lot of activity on those sales. Our bid results showed it. We had sales we didn't sell that had a lot of hardwood pulp. So I guess it was kind of surprised, but the market was kind of indicating something was not going in the right direction. So this is just kind of the final blow. But Aspen's been still good for us, and Pinus is still decent. So it's we're always looking for new markets. Those positions that the state put on they work a lot of the industry angles on that. So it's being looked at.
Yeah, you understand the revenue from forestry is very important to us.
Yeah, I've gotten that by.
Right.
Can I say that?
So Greg, what percentage of popple is really a high percentage of our sales, isn't it?
It is. Last bid opening, over half of our cordage was popple.
Okay.
And I would say, hardwood pulp is probably in that 20 to 25%, and then it's kind of a mixed bag from there. So it's not going to totally cripple us, but the problem that we have is we have mixed sales altogether. We have pure aspen sales and pure pine sales, but then we have a lot of sales that have some hardwood, some aspen, and so that's where we have some impacts, because it'll either bring down the price on your wholesale, or you won't sell it because it has too much of a down market product.
So, but the contractor is required to pay us the bid price, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's locked in.
So the only option, or not an option for the I guess the owner of the bid is just not to cut it.
Right. Yep. And they can turn back a sale, and we will claim the performance bond on it, and we re-advertise it. And that happens. We probably one or two every couple of years. We take a sale back for non-completion.
Okay.
So,
And the performance bond is what, 10, 15%?
10%.
10% of You know, and then we can resell, we collect the 10% and then rebid the traffic.
Right. So, I mean, we still get the sale cut at some point. There's a delay in our revenue, and there's a risk that we might get a lower price when we resell it,
Sure.
but we do get something on it.
And so it's too soon for you to answer my monthly question about making budget.
Oh, yes, too soon.
Okay,
It's, I mean, like I said, we're leaning on Aspen right now and in our line. I mean, things were looking okay before. We've got some big Aspen sales starting up now, some high dollar ones. So. And that's good. The Sappy takes a chunk of our hardwood pulp also. So, I mean, I don't think we're in dire, we're close maybe, but we're doing okay.
all right. Okay, any questions for Greg? If not, we can move on to the DNR Forestry Report.
All I've got to fill you guys, and I'm throwing for Roy here, is that as of June 6th, that pay period, the county or the state was at 102% of our annual fiscal year forestry assistance goals. There's some individual goals still there for this week and next week, so we'll probably be sitting at 103, 104% of our annual county forest assistance goals. So.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, and then on Monday, the 22nd, it starts all over again. So that's all we've got going on.
All right. Okay, recreational trails report, motorized.
As Greg mentioned on the Mosquito Brook Dam here, our ATV trail there, Trail 31, was closed for a couple of days because of that washout. One thing I want to mention here is if we have something like that before, again, contact our Facebook page, and then they'll notify us when somebody go out and put up closed trail signs and that. So any kind of trail problems, Facebook is probably the easiest way to contact us, and then Yalla takes care of that. She'll notify the person in the area and get things marked. Been working with the county on that, trying to see what we can do about the bridge. The other thing, Memorial Weekend was a very busy weekend for ATVs up here. ATVs all over. Along with that, it presented some legal concerns here. They had a great time out on the trails, but a few of them were not law abiding. A few of them were going down the state highways. I got a call from both the warrant and our county rec officer. The big thing I want to encourage this group is to let people know if we have illegal ATV riding, please contact the law enforcement. We need to curb that. We can't afford to have illegal riding going on. It's too many problems. So contact law enforcement. Other than that, things have been going good.
Okay, any questions on the motorized trail reports? Okay, any non-motorized? I don't see anybody here for that. Anybody online? No. Okay, well, Jay, you're up.
Yeah, moving on to the waste storage ordinance. We're now on version 3. The previous public hearing was held at the zoning committee meeting last month, as well as there was an additional public hearing held at this committee back in January. So what's now changed since January is to now, as version 2, I had legal counsel do a review of it. And it was, I guess, my misunderstanding that was kind of her full legal review at that point, and that was an error on my behalf. It was kind of just an overview of hers. The full legal review has now occurred, and some of the changes were incorporated into version 3. That's the version you now have in front of you. So with those full legal review comments, it did merit enough of a change to kind of restart this process back over again. It was sent back out to the towns. And I do want to read some of those town comments as well. 10 townships were for, 4 were against. Bass Lake was for, Coudray no response, Draper for, Edgewater against, Hayward for, Hunter for, Glenroot for, Meadowbrook against, Meteor for, Ojibwa, as per their December comments, they did not respond to version 3, but they did respond to version 2. They were for. Radisson, per December's comments, or December's opinion, was against. Round Lake was 4, with additional comments I do want to read into record. So they were for the proposed agenda. They did have questions for section 1.5, parent 8, parent B for required permits. That DNR and other permits may be needed for construction, site erosion control, and stormwater management, floodplain and shoreline construction, and livestock facilities within 1,000 or more animal units. This note raises 2 concerns with the township: the allowance of large-scale feeding operations, which was not in accordance with their goals and objectives in their comprehensive plan. And the second concern is that it implies that you can build in the floodplain or shoreline if you get a permit. Motion was made for the waste storage facilities that would not be located in the floodplain or shorelands or other sensitive wetland areas. It's also in contradiction to their comprehensive plan. I've personally written back to the towns about their specific comments, and I just want to kind of get some of this stuff on record so it is out there for the public to view and understand. Again, this ordinance is specifically for manure storage ordinance. This is not the livestock siting ordinance. This is not the concentrated animal feeding operation ordinance. This is specifically looking at if you wanted to develop some type of manure storage pit, you have to work through the specific standards that are now listed, or if approved, potentially listed in this proposed ordinance. It has no other bearing as to when this kicks in. It's up to you as the individual farmer or producer. If you have enough head of animal units or in a barn or some type of storage area, you're going to probably need some type of holding area for that manure. At that point, now you have to meet the technical standards of the ordinance to build that manure storage pit. If you did rotational grazing, you don't need a manure storage pit. If you just had a barn where you were able to still somehow land apply it on a daily basis, you don't need a manure storage pit. It's at the time where you as the farmer or producer that decide that, hey, I need to store this manure somewhere, at that time, that's where this ordinance kicks in. So again, those addressing some of those towns' concerns. Also,
So, okay, let me interrupt one second. So the towns that were against this, was it because this ordinance was too restrictive, or?
The only other comments I have from any other township was the town of Weirgore, who also was against the ordinance. The only comment they had at that point was, this is already regulated by the DNR staff. Well, yes, some of that may be true.
If you're at 1,000 animal units, if you're not,
Right.
does, but anything under that, they don't.
If you're smaller scale, but still want a manure storage pit, there are no ordinances or regulations as to how that pit needs to be constructed. That's where the county law kicks in.
Yeah,
So I don't know if we're going to do that or not. But
8 to 900 unit was still pretty large, though. I mean, they're not
I mean,
gonna
even
be
if
at
you
all.
have, even if you have 30 cows and you want to have them in our pit, we want you to build it according to some proper standards so that it protects the water and everything.
And one of the town comments from town around Lake was, as far as floodplain zoning and shoreline zoning, and those types of other floodplain ordinances and shoreline ordinances would trump anything here. You wouldn't be able to get a manure storage pit in a floodplain zone district. FEMA standards trump any of that other livestock siting ordinance. So that was one of the things I wanted to.
And by having this
clarify there.
ordinance, you have to follow the standards for designing and installing them in our pit, which therefore would allow you to put it in a spot that there's flooding or anything like that too. So actually having this ordinance helps protect against those things better than not having this. Sure.
Another one of there was actually 3 concerns at the town of Round Lake level. Another concern was that there's numerous locations in the document that speak to protecting the public health, welfare, and safety, but does not addressing protecting the natural resources, which is a vital part and character of the town of Round Lake's comprehensive plan. While that is semi-true, there are several references to protection of natural resources within the waste storage ordinance, specifically for the actual resolution, which you have in front of you. I believe it's line 2 or line 3 on the actual resolution. This ordinance is for the protection of the natural resources, including health, welfare, safety is also included. That especially again in section 1.1 parent 3, the findings and declaration of the actual policy, again, is for the quality of groundwater and surface water resources. There are other mentions in the ordinance that state public health, welfare, and safety without referencing natural resources. I think that's somewhat arbitrary at that point. There are several other areas that the intent of the ordinance is for the protection of the natural resources. And I, again, have made that comment back to the town as well. Number 3, the other concern they had a problem with the discrepancies of the markups. So I had actually done a markup version as to what the clean version of version 2 was, as well as the clean version of version 3, and did a red line comparison. When you do those comparisons, some of the formatting kind of jumps, and I think they had a discrepancy where locations of any wells within 200 feet of the facility wasn't on the formatted red line comparison. So I don't know where that formatting may have messed up, but as far as the actual clean version you have in front of you, this would be on page 10, that the location of any wells within 200 feet would be kind of on the setback distance. So it is included in the clean copy of the ordinance, proposed ordinance. So those again are addressing the Collin of Brown Lakes concerns, which ultimately still approved the potential draft ordinance. Again, the town of Weirgore had been denied and town of Winter approved. So that again is reiterating those town comments that we received back. At this point, I would certainly answer any other questions that the committee members or general public may have. If this is potentially approved at this committee level, it would then go to this month's county board meeting for final ratification of the ordinance. Again, this is also a repeal of an existing ordinance that is already out there. There is already a county waste storage ordinance that is on the books. It is super out of date. It is somewhat unutilized from past times, so that's why we wanted to do a new update. It wouldn't have been feasible to redline portions of the existing ordinance. We needed an entirely new ordinance. So again, when people think, oh no, we're throwing a new ordinance out there, this is actually repealing an existing one, and that is included in the resolution language.
So
It'd be nice to have our farmer up here.
it would
into
be,
this one, wouldn't it?
yeah, it would be. We've had public hearings, so on.
Right, and in previous public hearings, especially in the one in January, our farm representative at that point, Dale Vizel, was in favor of the waste storage ordinance.
Right.
They did voice concerns about a potential livestock siting ordinance, as
Right.
well as a potential moratorium for a livestock siting ordinance. But
Right.
the consensus at that January meeting was approval of the waste storage ordinance.
Jay? Mr. Chairman. The 2 townships that were not for your waste storage was down Meadowbrook.
There's actually 4, but yes.
Well, I'm gonna base it off down Meadowbrook and down the Weirgore. Those 2 townships is where your big farmers are coming out of. They have 900 to 1,000 acres. And I know at our town board meeting, we had farmers there, and I believe Weirgore did too. And they're the ones that put the input on not to approve.
But they didn't provide any reasons, except other than the DNR is already regulating it.
Right, and again, the DNR would regulate those that have the CAFO designation, concentrated animal feeding operation, those animal units over 1,000. And again, this ordinance does not regulate existing manure storage pits. It only regulates new storage pits, as well as substantially altered. Where again, if you're going, and Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're going just from like an 800 animal unit, if you're going to increase and become a capable operation at that point, well then DNR's waste storage ordinance would kick in. We do reference substantial alteration or modifications to the pit. So if you had if there was ground seepage or if there was damage to the actual pit and it needs to be altered, now it has to be brought up to the actual specs of the ordinance. But if you have a properly functioning existing one, this doesn't require you to put in a new one to the new technical standards.
So in your opinion, we have dealt with all the public comments and also the town comments?
This started back in October.
Yeah,
It's been a process. Again, we wanted to clean up some existing ordinances that didn't meet current definitions, current standards. This was one of those cleanups. So Tim put a lot of work into this, as well as oversight from our legal counsel, who is now given the full legal review of this document. In my opinion, yes, we're ready to go and move this on to county board's final approval.
all right. Any further discussion on this ordinance? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
On the zoning, and I hope Rebecca's listening, on zoning, I excused myself from the vote because I voted on the town side of this. Does this would be the same, or can I vote on this ordinance, on this land and water level?
Mhm. I actually just looked at your question yesterday after correspondence, and yes, you can, Mr.
Okay.
Buckholz.
Thank you.
There's no conflict. And we'll have a follow-up conversation, regarding those questions that were previously asked about the town versus county supervisors voting, when at an offline discussion. But yes, you can vote on this, Mr. Buckholz.
Thank you, Rebecca, because I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
we're legal here on how we're voting.
right.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess a motion to approve or deny is in order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve this waste storage ordinance.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the waste storage ordinance. Any discussion?
And then send it on to full county board.
That's correct. Okay. No discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Okay. You want to talk about your
Yeah, moving on to
report?
just the kind of zoning and conservation county report. Permit numbers are back up to where they were last year. If you would have asked me in March, Jay, how do you think permits are going to go this year? I would have told you, well, I think we're going to probably slip back into a large recession. You're not going to have any kind of new building going on. Stock market had crashed back in kind of early mid-March there. And I guess for whatever reason, I can't exactly figure it out, but permits are way up, construction's way up. I was just downtown yesterday and the day before. You couldn't tell there was a pandemic going on from what I've seen here in town, which I guess is obviously good for our area here. So again, we're back to full throttle on issuance of land use permits for inspection reports, getting out in the field. I really don't see any fallback or protection as far as the construction in our area. From the other realtors that I've talked to, their markets are back up. There's not a lot of land for sale, but when it does become for sale, it's getting snatched up right away. Again, all the contractors I've been talking to, they're extremely swamped. I know our office has been crazy busy. We had the kind of courthouse shut down from mid-March to by the middle of April. I had to bring all county staff in my zoning office back just to keep up with the amount of permits and inflow we're having there. So we've been full staff and going on all cylinders since then.
Okay. So you anticipate making your budget for revenue?
Yeah, you can't. I can't participate or anticipate what the next 6 months will do.
Right.
But as of right now, we're on track.
Perfect. Okay. All right, any questions for Jay on this report? Okay, we already had our USDA report, LCO report. I see nobody from LCO.
Well, I could just give an update
Oh,
on
okay, sorry.
our hemp project. We're June 18th, we're gonna plant 800 to 1,000 CBD hemp plants. The seedlings that we're getting from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And it's gonna take up an 1.5 acre plot right next to our public Works and our police department on our food rate reservation. So recently had our USDA hemp plan approved. And we're gonna move forward with that, and we just want to keep open lines of communication, letting everybody know that these plants are for the CBD oil. And we're looking at a processor in another community. So we'll be drying the product here and then transferring it there to be pressed and producing CBD oil. So the first year involved with this, so we're kind of excited to see it.
How long does it take to grow the plant to production?
Yeah, I think it's like a 70 to 85 day tour.
And you're still looking at doing that this
Not
year?
June 18th, we'll put them in.
Okay.
But they're seedlings, that's not the seed.
Oh,
So we
sure.
started doing that. First year experiencing it, so we did soil tests, fertilizer and lime.
So
on
what
the
are the
plot.
fertilizer requirements or something?
They claim pH is the biggest player, so where we tested that soil was like 5.7, 5.8, so we ordered some Cal lime right away and put that on, and then just brought to normal legume status for the fertilizer. So we've applied that, and we're gonna do rows of it with plastic, for weed control for now. But UW Madison is very good with us. And they donated these seedlings, but they want data and research on these. They're doing it in all different sites around the state so they can see if climate, what affects that, and so. Yeah. It's a good way to get started.
Do you already have any buyers? Like, do you have a market for that?
No, but we're going to start all of this. The processing plant we're going to use, they're kind of starting into marketing and they want to.
Okay, so you have a processing plant.
Yeah. Whole way.
And do you know if there's any other, is it just oil or can they also use the byproduct?
Oh, there'll be a byproduct, yeah.
Okay.
There'll be byproduct to it. And I know it's very selective for female and male plants. I mean, we have to go through, so you know that. Yeah, I guess all the males get cut out of there. You identify them. And there's cross-pollination issues and things you have to watch, so you can't put it near another plant that you could cross, right? So we got it going on.
Okay, any more questions on LCO? Yep.
Yeah, just a quick question. I just got just because you're here, I had a phone call yesterday. Somebody owns land records thing, and they had land, they're from Illinois, and they had land, deferred with tribal allotment. I didn't know who to send them to there, do I send them to DIE and Ashland for those questions?
No, we have a realty officer right out there.
Rita then?
Yep,
Okay, all right, I didn't know. That's what I told them to call.
that's where they would go
Okay,
to start with.
Okay, any other discussion, topics for discussion? If not, we're adjourned.
Well, we have that
The
topic one.
K.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Number 13.
Yeah, well, I thought it was all well described here, but go right
We should
ahead.
probably take action on it, that if we're not ready to schedule it, we should, again, postpone it to the decision next month. I guess I need clarification is how do you want that worded on there as well as talk about it each month. I don't think the state has lifted the larger
Right.
gatherings yet.
Well, I mean, I think we can just take the discussion action thing off.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll just do that, and you're gonna keep updating us as you get more information, correct?
Once the governor lifts the
Right.
potential bans of larger gatherings, then yes, then we can look at actually scheduling a date, so.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I was
Yes.
just a little concerned we didn't get a Sawyer County Treasurer's Department report. Is that something that you'll give in finance then,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
we will. The treasurer's report on the agenda usually is for land sales, tax forfeited land sales that are coming back. And that's really the only item that the treasurer talks to us about. Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, we're adjourned.